Hey, welcome to the Wills Podcast. This is a space where we explore logistics, family business, leadership, and much more. Today on the podcast, I got Lisa Major, our own HR manager here at Wills Transfer. Today on the podcast, we talk about pivoting careers from finance to logistics. We talk about her going back to school, and we talk about creating culture. Hope you enjoy. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wills Podcast. We are with Lisa Major today, HR manager at Wills Transfer, and we're right in the middle of talking about our supplement stack. And because what's a podcast without talking about health, you know? Okay, so the mushroom coffee, which doesn't taste good, but I was on the trip last week or 2 weeks ago to California, and it was like very long days. And it was totally the type of week where you get sick, like 1 or 2 days in. It was totally primed for that. And I brought everything with me. Like I felt like a nerd. I had these little things. And
your little pill bottle
like
things?
a little pill, yeah. And but just like stayed to it. So sea salt in the morning and amino acids and bit of protein and then my vitamins. And I came home in good shape.
Just fine.
I was surprised.
Just fine, yeah.
I chalk it to staying on top of the vitamins.
Yep.
You ever tried sea salt?
So I do Celtic sea salt in my water, which helps. Yeah, which helps a ton. Yeah. I throw it in there with basically any water I drink with Mio and stuff.
My kids have always tried to ask to drink the protein shakes until I started adding salt, and they're like,
oh, yeah, can't do it. Yeah, no, I don't love protein shakes. I can't do protein shakes, and I don't love protein bars either.
Protein bars are a thing, aren't they?
Yeah. I found a couple that I like, but the majority are too.
I think you could find. There's a shake out there for you.
Oh, I don't know.
There is.
Okay.
You've said twice this morning. Protein shakes and mushroom coffee.
And mushroom coffee. Ugh. Can you tell that's my big thing? Like textures and tastes are big for me. Yeah.
But there is vanilla vegan ones out there that you'd be like, oh, that's good. And also sometimes it's just about getting something down. Yeah. Like I've never finished a protein shake and been like, that was good.
That hit the spot.
Yeah. But I think that world like the flavor texture profile of the protein world is going crazy right now. Like
it is.
People putting like Starbucks has protein vanilla latte.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do the Fairlife protein milk, which is helpful. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We could do a health podcast.
One of these days, yeah.
Health journey. That's probably a whole other thing.
It is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It is a whole other thing.
You and I are we're midlife.
Yeah, I could tell the story about how my back was bothering me till I got an old lady cushion for my car, and now I'm much better.
Is it lumbar or upper?
Lumbar.
Lumbar?
Yeah.
It's like you get into a parking lot like Ottawa, and it's all young people, so you like grab the thing, you're like
exactly.
Throw it back.
Throw it back. Yeah, exactly.
And someone's like, was that a custom?
Yes, my
cushion. Oh, I do some driving around in the evenings for some old folks and like to have that there.
Just accidentally left it in there.
A cane and a few cushions in the back.
Right.
This is my side gig.
Yeah, that would be a humbling experience to have that conversation with you.
Is this your first podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Mm-hmm. How you feeling?
Fine. Should I not feel fine?
It's just two people in a room.
Should I be more nervous than I am?
People in a room with microphones.
No, it's all good.
Can you share a little bit about yourself?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Like name, where you grew up.
Sure.
That sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you had prepared for that part, right?
I had not prepared for that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Lisa Major. I'm the HR manager here at Wills Transfer. Actually grew up in the States from Colorado, little town called Boulder.
Boulder, Colorado. Shout
Colorado.
Shout out Boulder.
That's right. Moved to Canada about 15 years ago and love it. Been here ever since. Yeah, it's been a great experience.
15 years, Canadian?
15 years,
And like how Canadian are you? Like has anything significant happened in the last few months?
I am more proud to be in Canada today than I have ever been.
Okay.
Really glad to be up here.
Nice. That's not where I was going with that. I was thinking about the other thing.
What other thing?
Like citizenship stuff?
Oh yeah. No, so I am going for citizenship. I'm in the process. Haven't gotten there yet. It's a very long process, but hopefully shortly. Yep, in the next few months, we'll cross that bridge.
We have people. We've got people on staff that are similar journey, or their spouse,
Mhm. Mhm.
And wow, I take for granted the fact that you don't have to
Yeah.
hire a lawyer and wait and paperwork
Yes.
and all those sorts of things. So,
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, the biggest hurdle for me, which this may seem really silly, is they require you to give your travel history for the last 5 to 10 years, anywhere you've been. And I traveled with my previous role constantly. So it was incredibly daunting to have to come up with all the dates and times and flights that I had taken over a 5 year period. But since having a new role, I'm not traveling as much. So the look back isn't as painful.
did
That's for
you
sure.
were you able to see your old work calendar, or you didn't have access to it? Your old work calendar.
I had it on my private email, on my private calendar as well, because it attached to our family calendar. So all my travel was on there as well.
Hmm. So
So,
like, where would you go? Just everywhere in the States, and
yep.
where else did you go? Any countries?
No countries, just
You
mostly New York, San Francisco, Denver
okay.
were the big spots. Austin
If you
once.
meet someone from like another state that's got like a, I don't know, let's say Alabama. Alabama's very different than Denver or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Colorado, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are people from Colorado known for? They're like, oh, you are dot 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 or
Mountains. That's all
mountains.
we're ever known for, skiing and mountains. Yeah. Sometimes cowboys, but mostly skiing and mountains,
Hmm. So
which is pretty typical.
what was Boulder like, and big town feel or small town?
I thought it had a small town feel, but now I live in small town outside of Ottawa, and now that is a completely different feel than Boulder. I mean,
Hmm.
Boulder's big; it's 300,000. Um, University of Colorado's right there, so we have a huge university right in town. But it didn't feel overly huge.
Hmm.
I loved growing up there. It was a great spot. Colorado's beautiful.
Could you see the mountains in Boulder?
Oh yeah, we're right at the foothills. Yep.
Really?
So as you drive 2 minutes outside of town and you're up in the mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's
I've been
beautiful.
to
Beautiful.
Keystone and Denver.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, never Vail. Vail would probably be a good
Vail would be a spot. Yeah, or
spot.
Aspen.
Yeah.
Hmm. Aspen. Yeah,
Was that like Dumb and Dumber popular
it
because
was.
of that?
Yeah.
Really? Were
Yeah.
people from Colorado proud?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It was pretty famous before then too, but yeah.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Houghton University, which is in Houghton, New York, kind of in between Buffalo and Rochester. Went there for business. Actually left before I finished my 4 years and then went back again as an adult and finished out, I think in 2016 is when I got my degree.
Okay.
Yep. Then went to Queens for my executive MBA. Graduated just a few years ago
Mm-hmm.
with you.
Yeah. Well, we can talk more about that
Yeah.
later. What was the move from Colorado to New York? That seems like a big deal.
It was my parents' alma mater. Both of my
Oh,
parents
yeah?
had been there. Yep. So it was that was the only university I applied to, only one I wanted to go to since I was very little.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
Because of mom and dad?
Because of mom and dad.
How did they end up from New York to Colorado?
So both my parents are from New York. They both grew up on Long Island. My dad was a software engineer with Storage Tech,
Mhm.
and they asked him to move out to Colorado back in 1980 to head up their office just outside of Boulder. So my folks moved there before my sister was born, actually. And then when I was younger, we were actually moved to Australia for 2 years. My dad was sent there as well to open a branch in Canberra, Australia. So that was a really neat experience.
How old were
Spent
you?
2 years in Australia,
How old?
8 to 10.
Wow.
So young.
You
Yeah.
remember it?
It was, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really, really neat experience.
Have you been back?
No, wish I could.
Yeah?
Yeah, one of these days.
Take the kids?
Yeah.
Or just
Be
go?
really fun to take the kids. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so college, sorry, what did you study?
Business.
Okay.
Yeah, business.
Why'd you choose business? What 17-year-old Coloradan Australian was thinking about business?
Yeah, I actually started as pre-med, and then I realized I'm not that smart. So takes a very different kind of mind to do something like pre-med. And I think what I've realized is there are some people that are very, very good at memorizing, and pre-med and science is all memorization.
Mm.
And I do so much better when I can apply what I'm learning directly to my life or to things that I can wrap my brain around. Pre-med was great, but it felt very, very hard.
Mm.
So, and it wasn't as applicable. And I felt stuck in a spot where I either needed to choose to go into research or I had to go even further to do, um, patient care, which is what I really wanted to do. And life just didn't go that way for me.
Hmm.
So, yep.
Do you think about that path ever?
I do sometimes. One of the neatest aspects of that program was we were trained as EMTs and we staffed the ambulance for the town that we were in, for the university town that we were in. That was an amazing experience, riding on an ambulance and helping people. It
Hmm.
was, and I feel like there are still times that an ambulance drives by and I feel like I've kind of missed my calling. Wish that I had gone down that a little bit further, but no regrets. I like where I am.
You've come back to school twice.
Twice. Yep.
So,
Hmm.
I mean, if things don't
Just go back to
work
school
out,
again.
but
Yeah.
if things don't work out, right?
Yep. It's true.
I think there's a need
It's
for
never
that.
too late. Never too late.
Um, Houghton is Houghton.
Houghton.
It's like 3-4 hours from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's just
Okay.
past Rochester. So yeah, probably 4 hours from here.
Hmm.
It's not too far.
When you're going through the not permanent residency, sorry, citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
do you try and stay on this side of the border? Does it make it easier or no? It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter at this point. No,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't really matter. We haven't gone back to the States except to visit family
Mm-hmm.
over the last few years, but I've never had an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't seem to mind.
So you switch from pre-med to business, and as you're in doing these business courses, like which way are you leaning? Is it like accounting, finance, HR, kind of, or consulting or operations? Like which way did you find yourself leaning in school?
Operations and HR. Probably the most impactful course I took was my sociology course, actually. That really opened my eyes.
The elective.
Yeah, exactly. It was fascinating to learn about all of the things that have impacted people's experiences around us.
Hmm.
And I remember one thing that really struck me, women weren't even allowed to apply to Ivy League schools in the US until 1981. That was the year that I was born. So my mom, I mean, it's sometimes I think we can feel quite removed from society, a society that had fewer rights for women. My mom wouldn't have been able to apply or go to an Ivy League school. That was fascinating to me, and to read about inequality and how people were treated systemically, which impacts where they sit today, right, within our society, was so fascinating. And I think that really impacted my desire to go into people and to understand people more, and to be able to have some kind of some kind of change agent, even on a small scale.
Yeah.
Like I can be here at Wills.
That's awesome. Two courses that I remember. One was psychology. I think I was almost going to minor in it. So, and Heidi was taking it. So I knew I'd have good support in psychology. But yeah, there was a lot of really good stuff there. But my favorite class we had a 4th-year leadership class. And I mean, this guy was, I can't remember his name. He was dialed in like to another level of undergraduate business professors.
Okay.
And rightly so. Like that's the area is leadership. And he taught us about, like, I remember brand new emotional intelligence, self-reflection. Anyways, we had to do 3 journals, 2 pages, obviously very subjective, but it was more like the art of reflecting. That was brand new for me, and it was a big deal. Man, I clung to that class, that professor, that style, and it was a head and shoulders above. But those things stick out, and a lot of it has to do with just connection to the material. But I remember the first assignment of like a self-reflection. Yeah. And it had been till 4th year till I had that assignment. It was like, what do I write? What do I reflect on? But it creates a real curiosity. Like anyone willing to go in a little bit, and see what's there and what the thinking is and the thinking patterns. Yes. Honestly, I think that becomes addictive, and then you want to be around people who you can tell are on a similar path. So yeah, that was really good. So how's the first year been at Wills? What's it been like?
Yeah, the first year's been really great. I mean, I think that what I didn't anticipate coming in was the learning curve. There was a really, really big learning curve coming from finance, You know, I always like to say people are people. So the things that we look for from our job, things that we look for from the people around us don't change, regardless of what industry you're in, whether you're private or public or large company, small company, white collar, blue collar. It doesn't really change. But there was a huge learning curve in understanding logistics and understanding, in finance, everything that we do was digital, right? So we're moving lots of things, but it's abstract, it's digital, it's all on, online or on the computer. And logistics, we're moving stuff physically. So to kind of be able to make that more tangible and to understand how that impacts the workforce has been really great. It's been a learning experience for me for sure.
If you had been here at COVID, it was like all these people working from home, not at our company. And it's like looking around the company, it's like, I think out of 200 people, two, it would make sense to work from home. But other than that, like we need to physically receive the driver's paperwork.
Yep.
We need to input, and then we need to go and assign that. And we had some scenarios where we tried to make it work with customer service folks. By the end of the day, someone had to pull that picking ticket off the printer and assign it out. So it was an interesting time. And like looking back, it felt we had that term in Canada where it's not necessary, it wasn't necessary work, it was essential.
Essential workers. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to our producer. Thanks
Yep.
very much. Essential workers, and it felt like that. We were coming to work, and we did feel as a team, and it wasn't an option to work from home.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah. Anyways, the coming into this environment. So we'll go backwards one. A little bit about your time in the financial world and kind of how was that journey for you? What did you learn? Who did it make you? What was that like?
Yeah, I grew up in finance. So, right, my first job right out of university was with a multifamily office based out of Colorado. I stayed there for 15 years. So, learned a lot about business, about people, operations, all of that. I sat in a very unique seat. So at the end of my tenure there, I was the chief of staff, and I got to see everything, right? So learning so much about the company and about how business is run. We're a very entrepreneurial company, so moved very, very quickly, not afraid to jump in on things, make mistakes, but we, overcame them quickly. It was all about being agile. And I think that's shaped the way that I approach business moving forward, both from a pace perspective and moving really, really quickly, but also not being afraid to take chances and seeing how, just like in our lives, so much of it is how we address problems and how we overcome challenges. That's what separates really great companies from other companies, and that was a huge learning for me throughout my career.
What was your entry position?
Receptionist.
Yeah?
Yep. I started as a receptionist, and then I moved into an EA role for the CEO, and then into chief of staff, and then I was a shareholder towards the end. So I was the first employee ever at the company to start at the front desk and end up as a shareholder at the end. So it was excellent. I had some really amazing mentors along the way, really amazing colleagues that believed in me and pushed me forward. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go back to school, was just to continue growing and learning. There was definitely an interest in business, and I had kind of seen everything, but I wanted to have the academic background to go a little bit further.
In the finance world, you've got, is it safe to say you've got you have a large team, but a lot of them act as kind of their own business, right? We wouldn't call it independent contractors, but how would you classify that? Because you've got people with their own book of business, and they're entrepreneurial in how they get new business, how they create products or offer products to clients. And so what's the difference between chief of staff and bringing alignment, but you've got people who are basically kind of maybe like realtors running their own business. So then how do you bring people in to kind of get alignment and be part of a team and culture? Like, what was that like?
I think we had a unique situation where I was. As a multifamily office, we had only a few clients. So we had, about at that time between 100 and 300 clients only, with a huge amount of assets under management. So we were a little bit different, and that's what made us quite unique in the industry, was that even though each of our clients had their own advisor assigned to them, it was very much a team environment. We switched people on accounts when it needed to happen. It was very much like they are the company's client, not necessarily for that specific advisor. So that in and of itself made it easier to have more of a culture feel. There was no backstabbing like you might find in other financial firms where you're, trying to do better than the person
go
next
after
to you.
someone's
We all
client,
win.
undercut,
Yep. Yeah, no.
go around, yeah.
When one wins, we all win. A lot of it was organic growth. We grow completely from organic growth. We didn't do any marketing or anything. It was word of mouth. So there wasn't that environment where it wasn't a competitive environment in that sense. So it was quite unique in the financial industry, which I think is what made them so successful.
You worked remotely for a number of years.
I did.
And how do you have an impact when you're not reading the body language and the cues and influencing and not hearing all like the water cooler conversations? How did you have to how did you have to pivot to still be successful in that role?
Yeah, I don't think it's something that I would have been successful if I hadn't started in the office and built those relationships before we moved. So I worked for the company before we moved to Canada. When we moved to Canada, they asked if I would go remote. So I had already worked with the team for about 7 years in the office, had developed really close relationships. We had really long tenured employees there as well, people that just stayed. So I had already built that rapport. I honestly don't think I would have been as successful had I not, because you're right. It's those building that relationship and that trust that only comes from sitting alongside someone for a long period of time. So that's what made me successful in that particular remote role, which would not have been otherwise.
You mentioned a little bit about the differences in logistics, but when when you go from that white collar piece to an industry like ours, how have you had to kind of make some pivots in like approach and I don't know, change? Yeah, we'll call them pivots or approach. What's that been like?
It's been eye-opening in that in the financial industry where I was working and with white collar workers, they tend to be able to, even though the issues that they deal with are not necessarily different, they can mask them better because there's just more money, honestly, right? Within the industry, people are making a different kind of salary. So the things that impact our employees on the floor today might not be the same thing that impacted them, right? I didn't have nearly as much food insecurity or things like that we're dealing with a little bit with some of our workers just because of the way the economy is right now. That was not ever something that I dealt with in my previous roles. So some of the stuff's the same. It just seems a little bit more tangible, right? The tangible things that we're dealing with.
What's it been like walking into going back to your former role? How did you get to leave your mark? Like who you are, your values, ending in the role of chief of staff. Like how did you get to kind of influence and make the place a better place, and as a shareholder, obviously increasingly invested interest in the company. But how did you leave your mark, your values to influence that, and if any like stories or examples come to mind?
Yeah, I think that I was there for so long that I really developed an understanding of my values while I was there, and was really able to test them out and figure out as I grew as a person to say, this doesn't feel right. Why does this not feel right? And really be able to narrow in on, this is what's important to me, not just in life, but in my work as well. a lot of it is the same thing that I try to do here at Wills, and that's authenticity, allowing people to be whole human beings at work, expecting them and hoping that they feel comfortable enough to bring their whole selves. I had so many people that I worked with that I had the privilege of working with that did that for me, that allowed me the space to be myself. You know, our family went through quite a few really, really tough times during my time at this company. And they were beyond supportive and allowed me to be who I needed to be successful at home and at work. And that really shaped who I am today and how I approach people and the company.
That's amazing you had that experience, right? Like the place where there is freedom. And we have situations right now, right in the company where people need some extra space. They still want to come to work because that provides that structure and income, but they're going through stuff, and how we journey alongside.
That's right.
Journey alongside them.
That's right.
That's cool.
Right.
Well, I'm really glad you had that experience and had that backing. Who was a great mentor along the way, just in terms of how you see the world, how you see development or leadership? Like, who were some of those people?
Yeah, I have quite a few I could pull from, but I'll pull probably. Her name is Rhonda. She was my people person, so she was in charge of people for us for a number of years. I worked with her. Oh gosh, pretty much my entire tenure there, so 15 years. Rhonda, yeah.
Just like a certain age.
Yeah.
Rhonda's like, oh, seems like a nice lady.
She was awesome. So, if I think about what stood out for her, she believed in me more than anybody has ever believed in me. And not just in telling me that on a daily basis, but creating opportunities for me to move forward and advocating for me on that, right? She was my greatest champion for so many years.
Wow.
And it wasn't even just on the business side, it was on the personal side as well. There was, at one point, we needed to go see a specialist for my son. He was having some medical issues, and that specialist was in Portland. And at that point, I made very, very little money. So we were going to drive because we couldn't afford to fly. And she and her husband gave us points to be able to fly my entire family to Portland, right? Not even a second thought, right?
Wow.
So she cared so much about me as a person and as a colleague. That's what stuck out to me. And I think that, one of the questions that I ask pretty much everybody I interview is like, tell me about your favorite boss. Tell me about a person who, you really, really enjoyed working for and why. Every single time, it's because they cared about me. They cared about me. It was more than just work, right?
And that's really neat. What do you mean she believed in you? Like, what is that? What does that what that look like?
I think she saw things in me that I didn't even see yet. So she would point out, you could do that. You could do that, right?
Really?
She gave me stretch assignments.
Really?
Where I could show, right, I've never done this before. This is scary, right?
Wow.
She'd walk right alongside me. It was, I don't think I realized it at the moment until you look back and realize the impact that she had on my life.
Wow, what a legacy for Rhonda. Shout out to Rhonda.
Yep.
Because I mean, the other path is, here's a young, motivated gal, and she's not getting my job, and she's got to figure it out for herself. She's got to learn it herself. She could have given you a much different path, right?
Absolutely.
And influenced you the other way, defensive or isolated.
Yep.
Wow. So she was progressive.
Yep. Yeah, she really was. And I wasn't the only one that would tell you that about her.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, she was great.
That's interesting. That's interesting because in the from the outside, the financial world is about it's about performance. And you wouldn't think a lot about someone like a Rhonda who's developing people that are going to provide the structure and strength and process for the company.
Yep.
Right? You're thinking about how did this company perform? What new clients did they get? What were the returns for their clients? Not like a Rhonda developing people.
Yep.
So that's cool.
And I think that's something that I've realized is directly applicable here at Wills as well, because regardless of the fact that it was in finance, we were a service-first company, just like Wills is a service-first company. So in order to do well for our clients and for our customers, we have to be able to invest in people in our people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's something that aligns perfectly with my experience, even though it may look a little bit different here.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same kind of mentality of really needing to invest in our people to make sure that we can perform for our customers and our clients.
Mm.
It's not here, it's not about the product, right? It's about the people. And I come from years and years of having lived that and understanding how that impacts how we show up at work every single day.
Mm. Professor Major.
No, yeah.
Why'd you become a professor?
Yeah, so I have the privilege of working at Algonquin. I teach marketing at Algonquin, which may seem completely different because I don't work in marketing, but
Are you interested in working in marketing?
yes, no. No, it just kind of happened serendipitously. My neighbor is a dean over at Algonquin, and our daughters were playing volleyball together. And she said, once I had finished my MBA, she's like, "Have you ever thought about teaching?" And my mom's a teacher.
Another lady
My
in your life
sister
that
is a
believes,
teacher.
that's believing in you.
I know,
Oh my
right? Yeah.
goodness. Give her some
So,
space.
right, exactly. Stop. Yeah. So she sent me over to her chair and said, "Hey, this is somebody you should look at." And so they reached out and said, "We have an opening in a marketing class. I know marketing, you don't scream, your resume doesn't scream marketing, but it's an intro to marketing class. I'm pretty sure you could teach it." So I'm in my 4th year now. And it's been amazing. I really, really love it. Most of the time, the classes that I teach, I'm getting kids first semester, their first term.
Mm.
So I get to do a little bit of hand holding, a little bit of, they're in that, changeover from high school to college. Right. And they still need a little bit of coaxing. They still need a little bit of somebody to tell them they're doing a great job. So I get to be that cheerleader, and marketing's unique, especially this course is unique because I get to it's just fun. My job is not to make these kids into marketers. It's just to kind of give them a sense for what marketing is, how it impacts our lives. And half the time I tell them, even if you're not going to turn out to be a marketer, from this class, I hope you'll be a more informed consumer. And so we focus a lot on making it very, very applicable to daily life. Mm. So it's a fun class. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Do you get some pretty nice slide decks? Or
I think so.
Average? Like professors aren't known for having like the most up to date.
True.
Prezi or Canva.
True.
Like
yeah. No, mine.
Did you inherit your slide decks?
So I did, but I did make some changes. I just feel like I'm such a visual learner.
Yeah.
And I have to associate things. So when we're talking theory, I put tons of examples. Like, here's how we see this every single day, because that's how I learn. So I try to recognize which is one of the greatest things I've learned from teaching and also from having kids, is that people learn differently. So I try very hard to, it's on the slide, it's written on the slide. There's visual examples of what I'm talking about. I say it so that I can kind of reach everybody, no matter which way they learn best, which has been, I think, beneficial.
Sounds a bit too accommodating to me.
Yeah.
Just
very accommodating.
Like, it's first year marketing major. You just gotta.
Yeah. No.
Just gotta. How's your slide for the 4 Ps? Like, is it
for the 4 Ps?
Yeah. Is it a good looking slide?
It is good. It is. It is nice. Yeah, I'll have to show it to you one point. Yeah.
What do you, when you look at the new generation coming in or about to come into the workforce? So, where does it feel challenged and where do you feel hopeful?
Great question. I definitely feel hopeful looking forward. There's a mix I get of students, some that are just there because they're there, and others that are really, really hungry and want to be there.
Isn't that refreshing?
It is so refreshing.
Oh my goodness, it's refreshing.
Yeah, it really is.
We've got a young supervisor, and this approach to learning and attitude. It's like, oh, refreshing.
Yes, and they show up for class and they ask questions and they're engaged, and
which makes professors feel good, right?
It does. It does.
There are a few things that would make a professor feel good.
At the end of the day, I know. I liked my class. Yeah, exactly. So,
are you on Rate Your Professor? How does that work now?
So I don't know if I'm on that. I don't know. I should look. Maybe I should look myself up. I don't know.
That was a big thing when I was at Carleton. Was like you'd look up your professor to see what their ranking was. You honestly haven't looked?
I honestly have not looked. We
You need to be a
do.
bit more vain.
I know. We do an internal survey, where they ask the students to not rank, but
Yeah, yeah.
evaluate your professors. And I look at that because I specifically asked for feedback. How can I make this better? But no, I've never looked it up. I should.
How do you rank?
Pretty good.
In the
Yeah, pretty good. It's easy, right? I mean, honestly, I feel like there are other professors who have a much harder job than I do. I'm not explaining complicated things. It's very intuitive. It's very fun. So,
If you taught the same
mhm,
course
mhm,
in undergraduate or
mhm.
diploma for years, it would be hard to keep things fresh and
Yeah,
keep approaching each new class. Like
yeah,
it's probably a little bit easier to come in for one class because you get to um, yeah, you get to invest like a little bit more.
yeah,
You
yeah.
could get jaded by the material. Like you probably remember professors that were clearly getting through the material, which
Oh
is
yeah.
their job,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
then ones that were like, "Let's go."
But really enjoyed
I
it.
went to
Yep.
Bible college for a year, and
Yep.
and that was cool because you're
Mm.
like when I walked into it, I wasn't in that frame of mind
Mhm.
of spiritual development,
Mhm.
but like I remember those professors, and it was a calling. Like looking back now, it was a calling.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
my kids go to the Christian school, and you look at the teachers, and the pay is different
Yep.
between that and the public school system, and it's like it's definitely a calling,
It's a calling.
right, for these people. It's not like how do I get a job here? Oh, I'll give 60 to 70 hours a
Yeah.
week to these rascals and not.
That's right.
So it's a,
That's right.
but when a professor like has a
Mhm.
calling and is
Mhm.
excited about it,
Mhm. Mhm.
there was this one lady that was so unassuming, and it was called spiritual formation, and it was self-reflection, and that's
Yeah.
like, and she was guiding us through
Yeah.
this, and I had no idea of the topic. I had no idea of that area
Mhm.
of reflection and formation,
Mhm.
and obviously these classes are much different than like a marketing or a law class
Yep.
because they're
Yep.
like very intricate to personal. So yeah, I realize it's different, but just the little assignments and the reflection, like a very well thought out
Mhm.
semester of where you're going, and not at you can't do that in every course or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
anyways, it's awesome when you meet someone who loves
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. You know what I think about when I teach? We had a professor who taught our accounting, Erin, and we had her that first week
Mm-hmm.
in where it was the intensive 2 weeks we're on
Yeah,
campus. Um, and she was so bubbly and praised you for anything when you gave an answer
yeah,
that wasn't right. She's like, oh, that was so close, right? And just almost to the point at the beginning where we were joking because we felt like children,
yeah,
right? Being praised for doing something.
yeah.
But then by the
But
end,
by the end,
it was amazing. And we were like asking for it, right? Yeah.
like what a mindset she had to go into
Yes.
to get to that
Yep.
space of like we're going to make this the best,
That's right.
because
Yeah.
like accounting or economics for someone who's just like I'm in HR, I'm in whatever,
Mm-hmm.
is like, oh boy, here we
Oh
go,
boy.
right? Can you
Yeah.
do an example of Aaron, like
Oh,
when you
like,
didn't get it right?
like, oh, that was really close, right? Or
That yeah,
yeah.
we had a few impressions
Yeah.
of
Yep.
um, that was an
That
answer.
was that's right. Yeah.
That's
That's one way of looking at
one
it.
way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember in the end of
Mhm.
she taught two, I think,
I
right?
think yeah. Yeah.
She did one, and yeah.
Hmm.
Do you remember when we got the music going when we were outside in the last second last night or the last night? We brought in the
Oh
fit guy.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
I went home with him. I went to his like resident or went to his home to get a speaker.
Okay.
Came back, and we did a. I don't know why I was fixated on doing smart. Sorry, what are these called? They're called fit breaks. Sorry,
Yeah. Fit
fit
breaks.
breaks.
Fit breaks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
would do fit breaks during
Yep.
class,
Yep.
and you felt, you know, first time through, you felt awkward doing an
Hmm.
exercise in a class with other
With
like
everybody.
30 and 40 and 50
Hmm.
year olds,
Hmm.
and then by the end you were like, fit break time, let's do
That's
this.
right. That's right.
And then
That's
this
right.
like this like 24-year-old who's you know
Yep.
still an undergraduate or whatever would
Yep.
come in and like lead these adults through it. Anyways, the um, of our 2 weeks on campus, we
Hmm.
had a night in the forum or the quad or whatever, and he did a fit break, and like she was there, and
Awesome. She was
doing
right into
she was
it.
doing the fit break with us.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
big smile
Yeah.
on her face, same energy as
Right.
the class.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
what's another course that you would, if you could teach one other course, what would it be?
Oh. Um. Probably something in HR.
Yeah.
Yeah, something in and not, there's really two different ways of looking at HR. One is very policy driven, very rules driven. I think I come at it from much more of a people and culture perspective, and so something.
Sounds loosey goosey.
I know it does,
No
it does,
rule.
but it's.
I'm just kidding.
um,
Okay, so what would be the name of the course? Like your
Oh.
staple course, like Erin's been teaching it for
Something,
years.
yeah, like
People and culture.
people and culture, or something about human capital, right? As opposed
Right.
to
Right.
looking at it as policies and procedures, which have a place,
You
absolutely.
could go from
but
you could go from the negative side, like how to not ruin. It could just be called how to not ruin a
how to not
company
ruin,
in
yeah,
90
right?
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa Major.
Yeah.
So you made an investment of in yourself
Mhm.
and deciding to go back to school.
Mhm.
That seems pretty crazy. Single mom. How's this going to work out with balancing, financing, ever? So what made you go back to school?
Yeah, I think, it was a combination of ambition, and the fact that I don't sit still very well. So I tend to fill my calendar maybe a little bit too much. And when I start to settle, really feel like I need to have another challenge or something else to keep me going. I once worked with a guy who he's like, I have to be in a job that has a very steep learning curve or I will get bored. And I think I'm similar to that. I think I like to build things and change things and enhance things. And I don't love just maintaining.
Mm.
So once I feel like I'm starting to get to that point, it's like, okay, what's next?
Mm.
What's next? What's next? So I do have a tendency to do that without thinking sometimes. So
How quick was that decision?
it was super quick.
Was it? Mine too.
It was super quick.
Mine was unbelievable.
Yep.
It never quickest big decision ever.
Yep. Yep.
But I had Terry and Heidi, and they were like, "Do it now."
Yeah.
And so it was like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
It came up as an ad when I was
Oh,
looking at a
really?
course. Yeah, it came up on the right hand side as a paid ad, or
Interesting.
something like that. Clicked on it.
Yeah.
A few days later, on the phone with a gal,
Okay.
and it was personable, and
And it just felt right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I signed up for an info thing
Mhm.
with another one in Toronto.
Okay.
I won't say which
We
one.
won't say
And
which
and it was 30-minute slide deck, and I was like,
Nope.
no,
Nope,
it's
not
so
for me.
easy for me to decide.
Yeah. Yeah. I had actually signed up for the Americas program because working in the States, I wanted to have that dual degree with Cornell and Queens. And so that was the one I got into that program, was planning to start that program. And then it directly conflicted with my son's graduation, the 2 weeks that you would have had to be on campus. And I can't miss my son's high school graduation, right? That was, my parents were visiting. It was, couldn't miss it. So they suggested that I switch to the other program that you and I did, and I'm so glad I did. It was very fast.
Like EMT doctor, you don't look back, or look back a little bit.
Look back a little. No, I don't think I do.
I was in the airport 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, and I met the guy that I went to one of those socials where they like incoming people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was funny because his wife was there.
Mm-hmm.
They had 4 kids. Heidi was there. And at one point, I'm like, okay, we might be scaring them, because we were like right in the middle of it. I was like, we should probably take a step back
That's
now.
Don't scare
Ran
him.
into him in the airport with his 4 kids.
Oh, geez.
I had my sweater on. He had his America's coat on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we caught up a bunch. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, did the executive program, and overall, was it good in the end for you?
Oh, absolutely. One of the best decisions I've ever made. Not just because the program was so great. The program was fantastic. It was phenomenal. The classes were top notch. Really, really felt like it brought a huge amount of depth to my knowledge in what's important for businesses. What do you need to run the business? Really putting some of the puzzle pieces together so that as you're looking at a problem, you can identify what is missing here, right? Because you have just such a broad idea of what needs to take place. But more than that, it was the network. It was creating relationships. I struggled because I worked remote for so many years. I had very little network here in Ottawa. And that's drastically changed. I mean, obviously by me just even sitting here and being at Wills now, right? It changed the trajectory of my life. No question.
It's nice to build a network. that was part of,
Mhm.
well, two times. One, I joined our warehousing
Mhm.
association
Mhm.
because I was like, I think something's missing here. And
Yep.
then, but also
Yep.
going back to school. Actually, going to school, I had no idea of, like, they had talked about the power of network and
Mhm.
whatever. You have no idea until months go by
Yes.
and you realize you've been sharing things about your personal life and your business life
Mhm.
where it's a safe place and you've got good listeners. And
Yeah. Yeah.
if I could just have a Rhonda moment,
Yeah.
is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you dove all in,
Mhm.
like, to the program, but not just what's in it for me and like marks. I know you're a pretty motivated person, so I know
Mhm.
that you like to do well, but you making yourself available to all, like, there was 11 of us in Ottawa,
Yep.
and very good listener to all of us, and like incredible team member, lots of sacrifice. Like, you were all in,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think you took full advantage of the course. There were times in the course where, and uh, and you
Mhm.
also got a little bit of a leave,
Yeah.
Sue, right? There were times in the course where it was like, two people that I was close with were able to contribute at a different level, and
Mhm.
then you're wrestling with, like, am I contributing?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
uh, you think about your abilities. Like, for example, being accepted to Queens was a big deal because
Yeah.
I came out of high school with like 70s, like really didn't apply
Mhm.
myself. Like, I'm
Mhm.
watching my oldest right now go to school, and it was like, I wonder what all was missing. Like, I was pretty into a lot of different things. Like, I had a
Mhm.
poor attention span and things like that. But it's amazing that I went back to school. Like, I couldn't believe it that I
Yeah.
that I was applying. And then you do have a few moments. Everyone, I think, in the course has a few moments. Like, am I in the right place? Am I contributing? Because it doesn't feel like I'm contributing as much as this
Yeah.
person. And
Yeah.
there's a fair amount of what do you call it? Self-awareness journey pieces that you
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
unpack to do
Mhm.
that program and come out in a healthy spot with your family,
Yes.
your business, and yourself.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Which is another huge aspect of the learning, right? So much of what develops us as people is seeing how we walk through those challenging times and how we show up and what character we're showing during those hard times,
Hmm.
right? So putting yourself to the test and being held to a higher standard
Hmm.
and pushing yourself, right?
Hmm.
That's a huge part of development and one of the key benefits of that program more than really the academics themselves, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think looking back, I don't know if you share this, but looking back and realize I don't even know how I did that. I don't know how I did, right?
Hmm.
You just do. You
Yeah.
just you find time. You're if you're focused, right? You make it work.
Hmm.
But I don't think I'd go back.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I would only recommend it to, you have to be at a certain kind of spot
Yep.
for it to work, right?
Yep. Yep.
We saw some people that, like, I think of the 74, I
Hmm.
think all the marriages stayed
Stayed
together,
together. I
but
think
there
so.
was there was
Yeah.
definitely some people that
Oh
were
yeah.
feeling it.
Oh yeah.
Like, some people's workload, they were able to negotiate a
Yep.
decrease,
Yep.
and one person in particular was like, it went 1.5
Yes.
times
Yes.
plus school, and it just,
Yes.
like, yeah.
Can't even imagine.
But
Yeah.
no better time to figure out, like, how you're going to manage that and
Hmm. Hmm.
figure out all those things. Like, it's good stuff in the end,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we also took a negotiating class, so they should have been able to negotiate.
With their boss, with
Yeah,
their
yeah.
yeah, that's
Well,
true.
concluding my Rhonda moment,
Hmm.
you gave a lot as
Hmm.
well, and I'm sure that's probably something with the um, pre-med and
Mm.
HR is kind of giving. So,
Yeah,
um, how do you take care of yourself if you do a lot of giving? How does
that's a
one
great
how does
question.
one care for themselves if they're giving and supporting a lot?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, most of the time when I go home at night, I don't talk to a lot of people, right? I need my recharge moments
Hmm.
because I spend the entire day talking to people, very, very involved. So the evenings are all about relaxing and decompressing, spending time with my kids helps a ton. This winter, I think I did, I don't know, like 500 puzzles because
Did you really?
I really did. I really did. I could just crank through them. I'd go home, put on music,
What kind of music?
Puzzle. Depends on the mood I was in. A lot of it was Motown this winter for some weird
Really?
reason. Yeah.
That's an interesting phase.
Kind of got into Motown. Yeah. I
You must have
know.
been going through something.
I know. Right? Yeah. I know. It was weird. Or, Christmas music over the holidays was playing constantly, but
Really?
yeah, that was my like safe spot.
Christmas music and puzzles, like
Right?
that, yeah.
Right?
When I see someone doing a puzzle, it's interesting watching I'll say girls in particular, because I've got 3 of them, and what they need to recharge. Like I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I think I don't know who I was at that age, and developing as a young boy and insecurities or whatever. Like I went out in the woods,
Yeah.
and it was just like walking around, whatever. But watching my girls now, they've got their little podcast on. They listen to a ton of stories.
Yeah.
And doing a puzzle, it's like
puzzle.
that kid's, there's recharging going on there. There's a bunch of things going on there that I don't I don't know or understand, but it's good for them.
Yeah.
And like same thing when Heidi gets into puzzles, it's like, oh, the process when she's playing piano or doing puzzles, it's like processing something.
Processing time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe having to live with me. This is
they need the break.
yeah.
Just to,
Anyways, interesting how puzzles does that. And I've tried. Like Starbucks right across the street always has one on the go. And if I ever have to wait, I'll do it. But I don't get the same thing out of it.
No. Well, I wouldn't either in that kind of a setting, right? You kind of need to have your own zone, right? Like it's on my table.
Yeah.
And I have my music on or a show, right? I'll have The Office on in the background or something. And it's just puzzle.
Speaking about music, I'm disappointed today. Guess what happened?
What?
I got caught in a AI song that I was like, this is a game changer, this artist.
Oh no. And it was AI.
And it was too good to be true. And
I
looked it up, and this Spanish singer, there was no other presence. And then I did the thing where I read through the comments. And I was like, no. It was so good.
That's terrible.
It was so good.
I know.
It was like the first letdown feeling of AI, because there's been a lot of upside.
Yeah.
Right? And anyways, that's music.
Yeah.
By the way, I always like to ask, have you been to a concert before? If so, what's your favorite one?
Okay.
And then, what's a concert that you and your 3 kids could go to?
Yeah. You're gonna judge me for this, but here's the very honest answer. My favorite concert I went to was Beyonce. Went to Beyonce in Toronto a couple years ago.
Really?
It was awesome.
Who'd you go with?
My daughter.
How old was she going to a Beyonce concert, Lisa?
No, I'm not kidding. We were there, and she looked around and was like, "Mom, there's nobody else my age here." Whoops. Yeah. But we had a great time. It was fine. We were way up. I mean, the last row in the 300 level, it was concrete behind us because
really
they were so expensive. So she couldn't really see anything anyways. It was, right. It was such a good concert. Yeah, that was really, really fun. That was her first concert experience. So that was neat. We went to Katy Perry. She's going to, I'm not going to remember the name of the guy. She's going to another one this summer. Probably.
What's one band the whole family can agree on?
Probably Coldplay.
Nice.
I think we would all probably go to a Coldplay.
I was unsuccessful in getting my family onto Coldplay.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I would have gone in Toronto for sure.
Except for Paradise. There's a live version they did in Paris.
Yeah.
Of Paradise, and it's on kind of this family playlist, and they'll get into it. But Coldplay rocked me a different way, but it hasn't connected as much with the family.
I think they're one that if you saw in concert, you'd probably love them then.
Yeah, I did. I saw them in Ottawa. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're great.
They're kind of like maybe U2, like they're a big show, like big stadium, big show.
Big show. Yeah. Which that's really been my experience with concerts, has been big shows. Yeah. Can
we go back to Will's for a second?
Sure.
That was my distraction, by the way. Okay, so what's it like? You join a company. You knew me. You'd heard me talk about the company a lot. So like, there's a lot that you kind of knew coming in.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you're in charge of hiring, and you're doing a lot of hiring. So now you're having to quickly piece together what operations needs.
Yeah.
Your own style, the values that you know, and like put that all together. But also, you're someone who wants to make a process even better.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about the process of hiring and how to improve that. Like, what was that like coming in and being like, okay, hire people? And the question is, what am I hiring them to?
Yes.
right? And what is
Yes.
it that we're looking for, and asking those questions and being curious about that.
Yep. Yep.
I find hiring super interesting because I think it can be a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people would say, we know what we're looking for, um, but maybe not always,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe not
It's like,
always.
yeah, we
Yep.
know what we're looking for. We're looking for someone to be
Yep.
here,
Yep.
good attitude
Yep.
towards work, can work
Yep.
in a team. And those are definitely,
Yep.
big pieces. But so what was it like coming into a company and being
Mm-hmm.
overseeing a bunch of hiring? And so you're across from someone, it's like, and they ask you the question, well, what's it like at Will's?
Yeah.
Basically, what should I expect? And you don't have all those pieces yet to the
Mm-hmm.
metaphorical puzzle,
Metaphorical puzzle.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What I think I lean on really heavily, which is also what brought me to Will's, is our values. I I have never worked or been involved with a company that sticks to their values and lives their values as much as Will's does. I was super fortunate to be able to do my ending project, my thesis project here at Will's for our MBA. You brought me in, convenient, yeah. You brought me in to do a DEI study and really dig in on that and give some recommendations on where you guys could make some improvement. And that gave me the opportunity to see your team from a very different perspective. I was an outsider coming in that had no attachments, no dog in the fight, if you want to say it that way. So it's right, they were completely candid with me and honest with me about the goods and the bads and where they saw we needed to grow. So I had already come in knowing quite a bit about Will's culture, and I had been able to experience it myself. That is what
that's an interesting recruitment. I mean, not
It's
recruitment. That's an interesting method that somebody would use. Making you a free consulting
free
project.
consulting deal for you. Yeah. Well, it means you're very confident in your culture that wasn't going to scare me away, right? Let me loose, with a bunch of your other leaders and just trusted that they were going to
could have done the project and been like, okay,
not
here's the
going back.
results.
Yeah, exactly. No. So, I think that is what I leaned on at the beginning, and I still lean on in my interviewing and in trying to get to know people. And I think having alignment of my personal values with our values here at Will's helps me to identify good candidates, because I'm trying to find someone who shares the same values. I'm not looking to identify values in someone else that I don't already ascribe to. So I'm looking for very specific things in the people that we're hiring. A lot of it is authenticity. A lot of it is kindness and being, giving.
Yeah.
There's very few things we do on our warehouse floor, that can't be taught. But what I can't teach is character. That's what I'm looking for. And that aligns directly with our values, both of myself and Will's.
What if someone can't articulate themselves in an interview? Like, I know that's a big factor of that is, there's a lot that starts beforehand, like the job, the recruitment, the resume. But what happens when somebody can't articulate themselves? Do you have to make some judgment calls that there's actually more there under the surface from a character value standpoint?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do when they're not doing a good job? They're maybe they're not comfortable speaking in front of new people. Like, what's that like?
Yep. Yeah, I think that is something that I do slightly different than other companies that I've interviewed with, both on my own, right? I've been on both sides of the interview. Really trying to create an environment where the people who are coming into interview feel like they're safe, feel like they can be themselves. It is incredibly nerve-wracking to come into an interview, especially some of the folks that we interview for are roles that are new to the job market. This might be their first or second interview. So they're already very nervous. So things that I can do to make them feel more at ease, right? I want to put them in a position where they feel like they belong from the beginning and they can be themselves. It doesn't do me any good to hire the person who can answer the questions the best. Right? I don't need perfect answers.
How do you make someone feel comfortable?
I try and ask them easy questions at first. So it's always, tell me about your experience. What are you doing? It's always finding that connection. Trying to be very warm and very open. I do run our recruiting processes different depending on which role we're hiring for, and if we have internal candidates as well as external candidates. And so explaining the process. So letting them know this is going to feel very like it's question, answer, but this is the reason we do this. We do this to make sure that everybody has an equitable chance at this job, and we're
Right.
trying to make it as unbiased as possible. So bringing them along the journey to kind of bring that stress down a little bit so they know why we're doing what we're doing and that I want them to be themselves.
Yeah. Isn't it a big thing to explain a process to someone of where this interaction, any interaction fits into it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty
helps.
it can be pretty revolutionary to be like,
Yep.
oh, okay, you know,
Like,
and
I
we've got people on the leadership team that really like to know where you can just tell that they're thriving off of, oh, that's where we are in the process, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right. My mind doesn't work.
Yes.
My mind doesn't work like that, to be more maybe end goal in a few of the major chunks, but not like, hey, let's pause. This is where we're at. This is so.
Yeah. And I find you will occasionally have people who don't need that in the interview, and they come in and they're confident and they're great, but those are few and far between. So my approach is always to tailor towards that person that might need a little bit more accommodating, might need a little bit more of the easy questions right at the beginning to kind of warm them up, to let them know that I'm like a safe person to talk to, as much as I possibly can, right? Overcome that. But I've also done so many interviews that the other thing I try to tell them is I can see, like, I can judge whether you're nervous or whether you're being inauthentic, right? You can tell. So don't worry about it. I can take that into account. I can see what you're saying through your nerves. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah. Do you do a lot of pivoting in an interview?
Oh yeah. And following the conversation.
Yeah.
And really having, the things that I want to touch on. So our core values, right? I'm going to touch on really respectful communication. The things, we have our core values, but what I'm looking for is how do we live out those core values on the floor? How do they come to life every day? Because core values are what we believe, but then we have the way that we live them out. So that's what I'm asking for, right? So I'm talking about how they communicate with the people that they work with, their integrity, how they approach tough situations, challenging situations. That's how I'm judging alignment, not necessarily talking with them directly about, people matter. What does that mean to you? Because I'm going to get the same answers, right? People can give me answers. I need to know, how do they live it out on a daily basis, particularly when things get tough.
So interesting. Well, keep it up.
Yeah.
Are you hiring for anyone right now?
Just a few, yeah.
Where would you be if you weren't in a podcast?
I would be
conducting an interview.
Probably interviewing. Yep. Or going through resumes.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts? Things you've been thinking about, kind of general or leadership or the business? Any closing thoughts for us?
No, I mean, I think that our employee brand, right, as Will's trying to get out and hire the best talent that we possibly can, starts right now. Starts with how people interact with us the very first time. And so I want people to know that, we care about them as people. We want them to belong from the very beginning. This is a great, great place to work. And we want to be able to tap into that talent that we know is out there, and hope that they can feel our core values from the very beginning with their very first interaction with us.
Yeah, it has been and will be a crazy competitive advantage, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And when we listen to Ross Video's story, they're all over it.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
They're committed that this internal brand piece, this value piece, like this is going to be the thing that weathers us. It's going to be the thing where so much talent comes from within. And at the end of the day, people, really feel comfortable working, that they would refer a friend or family member because it aligns with their view of how someone should be treated in the workplace, right?
Exactly.
And we're not perfect, but hopefully there's good avenues, and I hope there's good accountability for me and for you for when we miss on that, because we have, and we've had an employee tell us where we've missed in a value, and it's like, the first thought is, I don't think you know the whole picture, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter, because it was their experience, right? With the value break and what we're gonna do about it. So it's been a riot having you on for a year.
It's been great to be here.
Yeah, and on the break you were using the word busy. Let me know if you need any more projects or anything.
Yes,
things
thank
get
you.
slow in
I
HR.
think
I think things are generally pretty slow in HR. So got other
there's
stuff.
always stuff to do.
There is always
stuff to do. Yep.
We're raising the bar.
That's right. Always stuff to do.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for the chat today.
Thanks for having
I
me.
really enjoyed.
Yep, same here.